Nice. I'm just gonna go.
It's so nice, man. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
Hell
Just
yeah,
think,
man.
and just think, so many people are like, man, this is not possible.
I know. That's
They're like, man, I gotta buy all this stuff and do all this. And
yeah, and that's one of the things. It was like, it got to the point where I tried. I was trying to figure out to myself, is it possible? How can I pull this off? Because I knew I wanted to do it for really long. And I was pushing it off, and I was like, fuck it, man. Started to go for like GroupMe. I figured out about crowdfunding.
Oh yeah.
Through like Gary Vee.
Yeah.
I used to watch
Gary Vee.
Yeah, I used to watch Gary Vee podcasts a lot, and he brought up crowdfunding, and I was like, dude, that's the answer.
Dude, Gary Vee. Oh man, my friend Montreal put me on to Gary Vee.
Really?
Okay. It's just for motivational purposes and just like being able to like how to, what your influence, what you can do with your influence. You know, and how to get people together and just start something. I think that's the most beautiful thing. It's like people, I mean, just like our friends, so supportive. Like.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Shout out Davis, shout out to Chappie, shout out, Matt, all those people, man. Those people that never, they're going to stay there through it all, man,
Yeah, definitely. Those guys help me out a lot, and that's the thing. It's like, if this does get big, or, if your project personally gets big, it's like, you remember who helped you out along the way. Yeah, and Gary Vee, going back to that, man, it's so incredible what you can learn or how your mindset can change if you watch someone like that repeatedly day in and day out. I was obsessed with Gary Vee, man. And it was one of the biggest reasons I started this podcast was because I just got like inspired, and he was just like, you're making excuses. And I was like, yeah, I am making excuses, dude. So then I just started everything.
Everything. Like when it comes to like my work ethic and like, what was that guy's name? E.T. the hip hop preacher.
Yeah, E.T.'s
I used to
awesome,
watch him
man.
every day, just to, like in the mornings, just to get me going. I'd wake up early.
Cool.
It's just like simple things you do that'll really like define your character after a while.
No, that's amazing, man. I agree. So let's go to you, man. So last time I saw you was 3 years. You were in Geneva.
Yeah.
At that point, if I recall, you were into music at that time. So you were just starting, right?
Well, yeah, I was. So technically, I've been writing music. At first it was poetry. I've been doing this for about 7 years.
Nice.
When you're about in 6th grade or so, you don't. You know what you want to do. You're just messing around with it, But it slowly is like a snowball effect. It's a habit. Like even to this day, I'm still every day. It's something I have to do, or else I just don't feel content with myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't remember who said this quote, but it was, if you do something every day, just a little bit, work towards something. Everybody wants to like get something done, like completely, and just have it done. And no, it doesn't work that way. You gotta really see, who you are as a person, and then build on, to your habits and, what doesn't work for you and what does, because you can't, Gary Vee's great, but if you're an unmotivated person,
exactly,
you got to figure out what is stopping you, and take that out. And that's what I did a lot of the time, was just, man, distractions are crazy, because then you'll wake up and you're like, man, I'm 18 and I'm just now starting to put this album out.
Definitely. No, I get that. And I like the increment thing. One of my biggest thing is, once I start doing something like a little part of my day, like you said, a little part of my day every day, slowly I get more and more invested, and it is so much that I think the snowball effect's a really good way to describe it, because you start getting more invested, you maybe start seeing development, and then you're like, all right, how do I improve? You hear, and then you start like hearing other things, for example, in other people's music. As you go, you're like, oh, I like what he did there, and now you can recognize that, and it just kind of turns into an obsession. I mean, that's what it's like for me in all my craft.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same for you, because just seeing your development. And
and I mean, I'm just starting out, and I'm starting to see people, being like, man, you're helping me a lot with, just words, These are just, it starts out, a lot of these songs I wrote, man, 2 years old, like, that's why I'm so excited for this next project, because it's all new music. Most of this music is old music that I wrote, and I just, you write so much, and you're just wanting to pick out the best ones, and sometimes that's difficult, because sometimes you think the best songs you think are the best songs are not really what people like. That's what I realized. I was like, man, this one song is gonna blow up. Everybody's gonna like it. No, they like another one. It's like, and you learn from that. You're like, why do they like that? Why, especially with hip hop today, and what it is. you know, it's the biggest. It's biggest it's ever been. You know, and it's a mixture of everything now.
Yeah.
Which is great. I love it. And I don't know. Anybody can. You know, there's almost no genre now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so mixed, and
Yeah.
everybody is starting to do like a rock star type hip hop
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
If you've seen that, you know.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So talk to me about your the impact, because when I started, you know, when I started the podcast, I wanted you always, when you start a project, I guess creatively, you always have this idea that you want it to be big, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you have to have a vision, you have to have someone you're going to, but quickly I figured out after I got, you know, 1-2 DMs that even a small impact is insanely rewarding. For example, you know, someone messaging me, just one person being like, hey, you starting this project and following this and taking this leap inspired me to do my thing. So are you getting that? And what do you feel about that?
Oh man, I mean, it's one thing getting it from your friends and your family, you know, but it's another thing when you've never met people before. You know, like I've put out a couple songs, and I've had people come up to me and they're like, my friend thought you were, you know, already famous, already out there, you know, and it's just like, oh man, that's incredibly rewarding, because I mean, I've had this vision for so long.
Yeah.
Man. It just feels like a part of me, who I am, you know, and sometimes,
That's so cool,
you know, and it's a good thing, because when you get unmotivated and you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore. Like that's too big of a dream.
Yeah.
And it's like those people come around and they tell you, and it's just like, man, that makes your world. Just
man.
Somebody enjoying what you're doing, you know? I mean, that's crazy. And I mean, I look at a lot of things in life from the perspective of what can you do to help like the world. And that's what I'm trying to do. And like that's my bigger, you know, vision in all this is, you know, mainly trying to, you know, change something about the world, you know, making it better. Obviously a lot of people have no idea what their impact's going to be, you know, until it happens. But I mean, what I'm trying to do is just that feeling you get when you listen to a song, right? And you feel like it perfectly describes what you're going through. And,
man.
You know, it's like that little push to keep you going. Just that little push. You know, and that's cool. Man, I've had that so many times, and I've heard people tell me like, I'd listen to this song every day, you know, one of my songs every day. I think that's incredibly rewarding. That's something you can't explain to anybody, you know. It's, you know, I mean, how many hours have I spent, you know, just writing and writing and writing, you know, by myself, thinking like, I don't know if this is the right way, but yeah, just little things, you know, they show you that you're on the right path. And that's kind of how I felt. Like I'm on the right path. You know, it's a feeling.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And it's easy for, you know, generally someone from the outside might look at it and be like, wow, you know, he doesn't have 30,000 streams. He's not having 30,000 views, but, you know, and I probably would have fallen into that pool before I started this project and started getting in the inside. But once you start getting those single DMs, like that can just change the game and inspire you. And that's enough at that point. You know what I mean?
It's stuff like this, you know?
Exactly.
You know, I see it. I'm like, man, I haven't seen this guy in forever. I'm so down to talk about all this. And I mean, 3 years, that's a lot to fill in.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So, I mean, what I've been doing, man, is just grinding, man. It's definitely not, you know, it's definitely not all the way up. You know, you're going to go down. You're going to have those pitfalls in life. But, I mean, if I could just write music and that's, you know, all I have to do. Yeah. Man.
That's beautiful, dude.
Do anything, man.
The creative space, man. The creative space where we're at, you know, whether it be podcasting, communication, singing. My favorite thing about all this, there's so much hope, I feel like, in the inside, because you kind of talked about it a little bit. Any project could be the one. Any episode could pop. Any song could pop. You never know. You might think it was a bad one, and boom, it just goes viral. Is that in your head?
Oh yeah, all the time.
I'm gonna change this camera a little bit.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
Yeah, all the time, man. Like, especially nowadays, when you have like a little bit of an audience. And you're like, well, I mean, it just takes. I've seen so many artists, you know, they get one retweet or like they get one shout out or something, and it completely changes their life, you know. Yeah. And I've never been the type to think like, oh man, once that happens, I made it, you know, because I
Yeah.
have such a bigger vision for all this,
Mhm.
man. I mean, most people they view money as like success and stuff, but there's something inside of me that just wants more. You know,
Yeah.
it's way deeper. I don't know how to describe it, you know, to be honest with you, but it's just a feeling I have.
That's
that,
awesome.
You know, ever since I started this, man, it's just a feeling that you're just chasing a feeling, and it's the weirdest thing
Yeah.
because you can't tell anybody how you feel, and like you just feel like this is right.
Mm-hmm. And one of the most beautiful things about that, man, because I think that we are very similar in that way,
Yeah.
is that you can't really. Here's the thing I'm trying to say, like believing in yourself, the vision for
Yeah.
it.
Oof.
No one can. There is no way, because you have like I don't know if this is the same for you, but I have such powerful feelings about my future and my vision and my drive that I believe in myself. Even as many people that want to tell me like, oh, your podcast as well, it has a good future. I truly believe that no one believes in this project more than I do myself, just because no one's feeling what I'm feeling, you know, experiencing what I'm feeling. That just like drive. Well, the way I started this is because it wasn't because this sounds very cliche, but it is very truthful. And I've said it before. I didn't start the podcast because I wanted to. It wasn't like I woke up one morning and decided, oh, I'm going to start a podcast today.
Yeah.
It was like over 6 months, I wanted to start a podcast, and it got to the point where, you know, I was watching Gary Vee, I was watching all these influencers, and my brain just got into the mode where I was like, I just can't not do this now. There's no more time for me to just waste. I have to do this. So I just jumped in. Like there's no other option for me.
That's always been exactly, man. And man, time is a scary thing for me. Definitely one of my biggest fears is just running out of time. You know, everybody has a certain viewpoint on like when you're supposed to make it or when you're supposed to, you know, put out music. But that's what's been driving me is fear. You know?
Yeah, no,
like,
that's a very powerful driver.
It's a good thing, and it could be a bad thing, but I mean, it's got me to where I am now. And like what you were saying, I didn't just wake up and it literally, I don't know. I mean, such a long time ago. I listened. I think it was, man, what was it? It was either Nas or Eminem. One of the first songs I ever listened to, and it just something popped. It was like, man, I want to do this.
Nice.
Like just these feelings I get from this. I want other people to feel that way because just being able to make music and then influence somebody's emotions, like you know, and either they're going through a bad time or whatever. Like I said, it's just a push to keep them going. You know? And I personally, like I've said, you know, a little bit ago, it's all I know now. You know? It's all, I can't just go back. You know? I don't want to go back. And I'm so glad you started this podcast. I don't know if when we DM'd, I don't know if I told you exactly how I felt, but when you started this, I was so happy. You know, one, because I was like, man, somebody that I know is doing something, you know what I mean? And I didn't hear, you know, you've been in school, you've been doing all that, and that's really impressive that, you know, you were able to change and just go, you know, head into it, you know, and sorry about that.
No, you're good.
But yeah, it's amazing to see how just an idea, like you said, you know, can turn into something very, very huge, man.
Yeah, no, man, I think that's incredible. And I appreciate that a lot. And yeah, I just don't know, man. One of the biggest reasons I started this is because I live generally out of fear. Like I like that you say, you know, using fear as a driver.
Yeah.
Because it can be negative, but at the same time, I think it's so powerful, man. There's just like, I will literally do anything to make sure that I don't live an average life when I'm older.
Perfect.
That drive, there is literally just nothing and I don't know, it's fear of regret, I guess. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is just pushed to the limits. And it like, and I can talk about it all I want, but at the end of the day, I can't really translate the feeling I get, like the drive I have. It's so powerful, and it's just because I'm a very long-term thinker. I'm willing to sacrifice my present self for my future self.
And just think, what you're doing right now, you know, it's an extra step. Most people, they, you know, go to school, graduate, and then, you know, start building onto that. You're trying to do another side hustle, which I really, that's all I've been about. It's like, after your 9 to 5, what do you do? You know, that's what matters. You work for a corporation, you work for a company, you know, for 9 to 5, you know, that's the average person. And then you go home. What do you do when you go home? You know, And that's what I've been telling people, man. Like, just go home and do something that you love and chase something that you love. So one day you don't need to work that 9 to 5.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to. Like, it's a lot of hard work, though.
Uh-huh.
It's even more than I've, like, realized.
It is.
Yeah, but I mean, just like you said, living that average life, that I've met people and you just see that in their eyes, that they had something and they just couldn't get to it.
Yeah, dude.
And it just, that kills you inside. You're like, I would do.
It's the scariest thing in the world, man. Seeing someone that's 40 with regret. Yeah. Well, here. By the way, I'm gonna cut. I can cut this. Because I want you to sound as good as possible. Yeah. So if you can point this at your mouth. Yeah. There you go. You'll sound a lot better.
I might need to go higher.
Yeah. Here, you might be able to. Pull this in, turn this, and then like diagonally point it. There you go.
Oh, okay. I think that's better right there.
Yeah, you'll sound a lot better if you take a fist. Yeah, there you go. Cool. Yeah, no, seeing a 40-year-old with regret, it was a big driver of me. Just seeing people that are sad, like kind of just flowing around, sad, don't really have passions, man. It's so hard for me to look at. I just don't get it, because I think you can relate here. There's just so much drive in me to be in that position and just be fulfilled, because I know what it's like. We know what it's like to find your passion and just have drive. And I feel like if people felt that and knew what that felt like, there'd be no doubt that they'd be working their ass off all the time, like we are.
Yep. Some people are just, I mean, you can call it busy, you can call it just, having too many distractions in your life. I've talked to people before and asked them, what's your passion? What do you chase? What makes you wake up in the morning? I don't believe nobody has that, and everybody has something they look at and they're like, man, I wouldn't mind doing that for the rest of my life. That friend of mine, his name's Montreal. He tells me sometimes, he asks me, what would you do if you could do anything? And that's a deep, deep question. For the rest of your life, you can only do one thing. What would you do? A lot of people would say their dream, would say their passion. But there's so many other things that we still, my answer to that was, I don't know, because I haven't tried everything. A lot of people would instantly say, do this, do that. There's so many things in this world I still have yet, to find out how that makes me feel.
That's a good mindset to have, man. And that's one of the big, I like, another way I approach life the same. And I look at it as, don't close blinders, or don't go into with a narrow view. When I first went into college, I talked to a guy named Ramesh, Dr. Langani, and he asked me what I wanted to be when I walked in. I was an 18-year-old kid. This is one of the biggest conversations I've ever had. Oh, wow. He's like, what do you want to be? I was like, well, I want to be a physical therapist. So my stepdad had a physical therapy company. I was going to take it over. He looked at me and he was literally just like, you do not want to be a physical therapist. And I was just kind of shattered at first. He was like, you have no idea what you want to be. You haven't explored anything. You are 18 years old. You know what you need to do? You need to go through, you have thousands and thousands of options. You need to slowly start checking off the boxes of what you don't want to do. And I think that's the move. And I like that fits well with your mindset right now. The idea that, there's so many options. Just test things out and close ideas off. I don't like this about this occupation, right? There's different fields of music. Where do you want to be at in music? I don't like producing, so I'm gonna, what I mean? Like stuff like that. I think that's a really good way to approach things.
No, that's very correct, and I completely agree. I mean, that's the path a lot of people go down. They have something. Their parents have something, and they're thinking, well, I wouldn't mind doing that. I guess that's an easy way to go, but it's that greatness, Some people just want that greatness. They just want their name to be remembered somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing is a lot of people have that. They just don't want to be forgotten, just like everybody else, and that's kind of like me with music. Technically, lives on forever, There's so many greats I still listen to, that are gone, passed away, and that conversation, like you said, that influenced you to be like, whoa, okay, I really need to start looking around, because what if I am working there, and then I like looking back, like, man, I should have listened to that, doctor.
Exactly.
And that's kind of what you did, huh? You're like, and just going off of your Instagram, it looks like you've been through a lot of experiences, in these 3 years.
Definitely, man.
Like life changing, I'm sure. And just just being in those type of environments, that are people of people are so, like, you get around certain people, and their actions and the way they act influence you in a way that just like
Definitely,
that makes you want to be like more, give them more than what you've been giving. Personally, I think that's amazing to have people like that who inspire you.
Definitely, man.
And it just comes out of nowhere sometimes. It's just like little things can make the biggest impact. I remember in 6th grade, I was writing, and I had a whole book of stuff, and some jerk, took it and, ripped it and threw it away, or whatever. And I mean, that was clear to me at that moment. I was like, all that work that I put into those, it's just gone, and that just made me want to go more, and just want to prove to people more. For me, it is like proving people, what I
definitely.
am, like I never want to be that person that, you look back in high school and you're like, man, he never went anywhere after that, he just all downhill.
Yeah,
it's a scary
I feel
thought.
that.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. And it's, personally, with me not going to school, right away, because I've been wanting to, put more time into music, and man,
See there's I understand
sacrifice.
that. I use sacrifice. I use hate and doubt as fuel. I like that because like kind of like this idea of belief, investing as much in the project, you have to have that much, belief and confidence to drive it forward. And it doesn't really matter what, other people's opinions are, whether they're complimenting you or, bringing you down. But I will say, I think that people that are those general population people in high school and in our community that might be talking bad in the future if you don't succeed, man, if you're going to compare quality of life, I'd say there's no doubt that your quality of life is better because you're actually chasing a passion. You're actually invested in something that you care about compared to a majority of people, man, who are in jobs, working at banks, that went to school, have no idea what they want to do, and aren't living prosperous lives, man. So I don't think it's easy for generally to be like, yo, he didn't go to college, he's doing music. Like, it's not popped off for you to be like, well, he's got it better than me. But that's not the case because you're actually putting passion into something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and nowadays, that's becoming more popular. It's so much easier, to find other routes than, the typical, get good grades in high school, go to college, do that whole thing. And the amount of people I know that have been to college and not do anything with that opportunity is astounding to me. It's to me that whole experience, if I were to go, which I do plan on going for, there's so many things, business, or just, there's so many different levels to music, which I found out. If you think that just you writing and recording music will get you somewhere, no, that's clearly I wish that was the case, but it's not at all. There's so many things you don't want to do that you're gonna have to do, and grow. Like when I was recording, I thought I had it all, down, but it's the process of what you do when you're recording, the production of the music, and kind of, it's another step. There's so many levels to this, first you start off with just writing, it's the basis, of what your dream is writing the music, of course. Then you go in the studio, and quickly I found out that, man, this is not as easy to make it, sound like, at what everybody else is doing, which I'm not trying to do, but what I mean by that is like the quality wise, and what catches people's attention and what, and nice. And then there's another step, which is promoting this and, finding people to reach out to that will promote your music. And that's the most important thing. Just right now, for this first project, I didn't even promote that much because I wanted to see what I could do with just the people I know, and see, and that's, it turned out really good. The streams and everything so far are doing great. And for me, that just means the world. Just gives me more drive, like I said. And
Yeah.
there's no like once you start seeing like, wow, I'm actually getting money from this right now. Like, wow,
That's cool, man.
yeah, it definitely makes you just want to be something, you know. Be
How
something.
how does that monetization work? How do you get money? Like how much money? Like if you don't mind me asking, you don't have
Yeah.
to say. Like how much money do you make from say you I saw you had like 2,800 streams when you posted recently. How does that get monetized?
Yeah, so basically there's a distributing company that you can go through, or you can just do yourself, I guess. But I went through this one called DistroKid, which is quite popular right now. Basically, you pay a subscription, you know, and they're basically putting out your music on all platforms, you know. And like with anything else, it's very hard to get your music, you know, accepted and put onto that. And it's, you know, with this program, you know, it's amazing. You just get, you know, if let's say you get 1,000 streams, you know, so I think 1,000 streams is like $1.
Okay.
You know,
Nice.
I think it's something
Okay.
like that. And a lot of people don't understand that, you know, for streams, that's not really your money maker. You know, that's just what people listen to. And, you know, that's basically the promotion for your shows almost.
Yeah.
Your music. So, a lot of people, you know, they ask me that same question, like, how much money do you make? How much do you do this? Well, I'm personally right now not making a lot of money, but just seeing that, well, I can actually make money.
And I haven't done any work
Yeah,
to try to make money on the
Yeah,
podcast.
I wasn't, you know, when I was recording, I wasn't thinking, I want to make money. You know,
Yeah,
and it wasn't in my
yeah.
mind. I was thinking, how can I make the best music possible
Yeah.
that I can, you know, my friends and just people can jam out. Dude, it's just so simple to me.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's so simple to me what I really want to do. It's just make people feel good and just have a
Yeah.
good time. And I mean, obviously, I mean, it sucks that it has to be a business,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just going to be a transition for me,
Yeah.
you know, going into another mindset.
Yeah, so I honestly I know what you mean, man, because I have certain songs that kind of rotate throughout my life
Yep.
where I will listen to it in moments where, you know, I need motivation. I need to be inspired right now. I'm going to go longboard. I need this type of music in my ears. It'll give me this feeling that'll honestly just make me feel better than anything in the world.
Yeah.
I recognize that feeling and that beauty, man, and I've wanted to get into music for a really long time. At one point, I honestly tried to write a song.
Yeah.
Here's my issue, man. I don't really know how to go about it. I don't know where to start. So tell me, like, how do you start? Like, how do you go about writing a song? Do you hear a beat and go, "Oh, wow, that's amazing"? What words fit with this beat, or is it more like I want to talk about this? You know, what's your approach to like creating a song?
Yeah, sometimes it's the easiest thing in the world, and sometimes you're just stuck there, you know, in a parking lot, like what am I gonna write today? You know, for me, it's so much easier when you start out, you know, what you're going through in life. You know, it starts with a feeling. That's what it starts with, is a feeling, and then thinking about this feeling and breaking it down. That's personally what I do. I break down why I'm feeling this way, you know, and where I'm at in life. Right. So that's the first thing, is realizing the feelings. And then with the feelings, you know, a lot of people start with the beat and then let their feelings go on to the beat. I personally start with the feeling and then find a beat that matches the feeling that I have, you know, or, you know, make a beat that, you know, feels how I feel. And, you know, it's just like it's like frequencies, you know, it's simply, if you at its simplest, it's frequencies that, you know, make you feel good, you know. And so yeah, it starts with a feeling. Then you know, find the beats, and the rest is basically just letting the pen do the work. You know, you gotta. When I first started out, like I said, with poetry, this makes it so much easier for me when I started out with poetry, because that way I didn't have to focus on it being, I just wanted to present feelings. You know, just because that's been my whole thing, is getting the feelings out that I had. It's therapy for me, and that's a real thing. So when it starts out with this feeling, and then the beat, and then, you know, just seeing how it can develop, you know, after a while, you know, the more you think about it, the more emotion you put into it, you know, and it's a beautiful thing at the end of it all. It's definitely not the easiest thing. For me, at this point, it's just natural, you know. I can literally listen to a beat and then, you know, words just everywhere, just
That's
coming out of my
amazing.
head. So, and it's kind of a difficult thing to explain to people, because when you've done it for 7 years, you know, and I'm young, you know, 7 years, that's, you know, it's a very big majority of my life, you know, of my conscious life, you know. So yeah, it's more of just being able to be in tune with your feelings. That's the most important thing, is being in tune with how you feel, and being able to dissect how you feel.
Yeah.
You know, be your own therapist in a way, you know, ask yourself your own questions, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's very valuable in anything, man. I think introspection, constantly taking inventory of yourself.
Yeah.
Being aware of how you feel. If you're getting frustrated at something, you're feeling like really sad in the evening.
Yeah,
it's good to like dissect it. Like, why am I feeling like this? Okay, now it makes sense.
Is it reasonable?
Yeah.
Is it, you know, and that's what I tell a lot of people. You know, find something that, you know, takes, you know, you have a frustration, you know, you're frustrated during the day, excuse me, and you got to find a way to take that off. You know, you got to find some way to relieve that. And for me, it's just writing it down. It's writing how I feel. And sometimes, you know, I write what I feel and I get it out, and maybe it's not the best song, I scrap it. It's all about just getting how I feel out. And just because, I mean, when you're feeling that way, the best thing for you to do is focus on something else, you know, and, you know, something positive can come out of something really negative.
Nice.
From what I found. Besides it being like an obsession, sometimes I've kind of run into that too. Just putting so much into it that you just run out, you know. And I've figured that out. That's why I go off of feelings now, because, you know, you can write every day for hours and hours and hours, but if it's just nonsense to you, it doesn't really mean much to you. Then, you know, it's just, I mean, I guess it's practice, and practice is good. But for me right now, I'm always working towards trying to make something out of the content I make, you know. I see value in all of it.
Yeah, so just kind of waiting for more special moments to channel that energy, rather than just trying to find it in every moment.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, I've heard so many interviews of artists who say it starts with that feeling, you know. It starts with just like this, and then it evolves into a concept, you know. And it's something very indescribable, to be honest. So that's why I'm struggling a little bit. But like you said, it's
hard to describe, man.
Sorry.
It's hard. No, don't worry about it. And it's just hard to channel that stuff because there's so many different types of emotions and so much feeling. I just don't really think you can put it into words, man. That's what's so beautiful.
Sometimes,
I think it's so. Earlier we talked about, so you have this process of writing. How old are you now?
18.
Almost
19 in June.
Nice. Good for you, man. So you talked about earlier time being a very valuable asset for you.
Yes, sir.
In hip hop, in music, in the industry in general, it seems that compared to other jobs, you have a smaller window. It's not like, you know, if you're going into business where usually some of your careers peak at like 50 to 40 age. You're kind of in this is usually, you don't see guys over 40 because it's hard for people to relate.
Yeah.
So do you have like a plan? Like, so is that stressful being in that space? And then how are you, like, what's your timeline if you have one?
Yeah. It's definitely stressful. Like I said, fear is definitely something that motivates me, and that's what keeps me going. I mean,
it's a hard question.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's okay. So let's say, can you repeat that question? Sorry.
Yeah. So this might be too much for me to ask.
No, it's okay.
But so you're kind of limited on time compared to someone like someone in business who can work till they're 80.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'm like, everybody thinks a 30-year-old rapper, you know, or so is corny, right? Well, there's so many right now. You don't realize how old they are. You know, they've been a part of your life for so long, and you just, you know, you still think they're 26 making music almost in your head, but really they're, you know, they got a family. They're 30 years old, and that's when it becomes that more business, you know, aspect to it. You know, starts to evolve more. It's when you reach that age. It's like, I made all this money from my past. Now I have to invest it in something, and you see that with a lot of people who just turn over the page. You know, and that's something I want to do definitely in the future. Is just like this is just a springboard for me, but it's definitely a passion of mine at the same time, because I see a much bigger future, you know, for what I can do with, you know, influence. Influence is so huge.
I didn't even think about that, man.
So huge. You like, and just especially today, you know, in all, you know, all aspects of future. I mean, of business and everything. But yeah, just that timeline. So basically, what I've thought of for a long time now is, I'm quite young, you know.
You got time.
Yeah,
So
I got time, right? But it's all about putting out quality in the time that I have, and that's what I try to do with this first project. Is put out something, you know, that describes who I am. I mean, a lot of people come up to me and be like, you don't really sound like anybody else, and that's exactly what I want to do. It's kind of my whole thing. It's like trying to, before someone else finds it out, I want to find out a new way, you know. And you know, a lot of people, especially today with mumble rap, or you know, whatever you want to call it, I mean, that's just hip hop evolving. That's just how it is. Things change. What I'm looking for is something like that, but different, as in like another style. You know, I'm trying to find another style always with every project. It's just something completely different, something new to everybody. And that's how you start those trends, you know. You know, it starts with, you know, just you doing something different. You can always do the same thing and you may succeed, you know. And that's just how, you know, the wave works. You know, hop on the wave and you can succeed. But I mean, I'm always looking for that, you know, that way, that, you know, that dark path nobody's lit up yet. They don't know about it. They've never been down it. They've heard of it, you know, but
yeah. Do you get inspiration for those styles from specific artists?
Yes, there's definitely some. One of my favorite is Kendrick Lamar, and there's a lot of reasons why he's my favorite. One is obviously because he's, you know, a good poet, a good writer, but another reason why I like him so much is because he's so versatile. He's so, you know, he changes everything with his next project. It's like seeing somebody's mind, like, and opening it up and looking at every aspect of how they feel. It's just, you know, almost he almost conveyed one emotion for the whole thing, but they were all completely different. Like if you look at the songs of his new album, you know, they are all emotions. They're all, you know, but it's he did such a good job of of just describing those. He'll start out like, let's say lust, or let's say love, or, you know, such a good, you know, he brings that feeling out, what it is, you know, and just, I feel like that's what, I mean, that just brings out, you know, a lot of, I listen to certain songs of his and I'm like, man, I need to write. I need to get that. You just feel like it's almost that competitive attitude that I have, is like, man, I need to get going.
Yeah.
I need to get going. I need to do not exactly what he's doing, but I need to, you know, change up and just be something different. That's why he's so big right now, and J. Cole as well. I mean, and the influence they have is outstanding. You know, they can change. they could change the world if they wanted to, you know, and they do. They millions and millions of people are listening to their songs when they're put out. That means millions and millions of people's mindset is, you know, being affected and changed. And
yeah, man,
you know,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and you can, I mean, just like I said before, it took one song that I listened to, and it, you know, and it sparked my mind, you know. And there's that famous Tupac quote which says, you know, I don't want to change the world. I want to spark the mind that changes the world. You know, and that's really inspiring. That's, you know, that just shows you that, you know, there's so much more to this than money. There's so much more to this than just there's so much more. There's so much more that you have to find out, and it's a beautiful thing. Definitely frustrating at times, because, I mean, you know how many rappers there are nowadays. Everybody wants to be a rapper, you know, but not does everybody want to. But from what I see, from my perspective, everybody can be a rapper, but how many people want to like change the world with what they're doing. You know, most people just want to, you know, secure themselves financially.
Yeah, exactly.
Have fun, you know, have a fun life. But I don't know. I just have something, you know, like I said.
I feel like you're unique too in the way that a lot of music, you know, whether or not it may portray an emotion, doesn't have the intentions that you do behind it. You know,
Yeah,
I think that you're thinking at a deeper level than a majority of rappers are, who might be in it for, you know, reputation, fame, clout, as they might say. I think you're on a good path for that. So these guys that you get influence from, you look at as, you know, role models, Kendrick, other people. One of the biggest, I'm curious if how much do you study these guys? How much do you pay attention? Because one thing I found out in my skills, anything I want to be excellent at, I will study vigorously the people who are most successful at that activity.
Exactly.
Whether it's watching videos of them, listening to them speak, analyzing how they interact in a conversation, or I'll read their books. I just learned so much from just kind of like analyzing them as a person.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, because I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They asked me, like, so how did you like build on your foundation? Sorry, excuse me. Well, it started off with, like I said, I think it was Eminem. So I would listen to his music, right? And that, you know, everybody can listen to music and makes them feel a way. But I would study like how he puts together the words, you know, and that's what, you know, poetry was to me. You know, there's different ways of rhyming, different ways of, you know, and he was so versatile, you know, back in the day. I mean, nowadays, you know, we can get into that later, but yeah, I would stay, I was 12, 13 years old. I'd stay up countless nights, just literally listening and then pausing and then reading those lyrics and seeing how he puts those together and how does that make sense, and like, how does that expand upon, you know, the song and what it means. I mean, but yeah, I do study it. I do actually look at how people put words together in it. It's just part of that. I don't know. Like I've said, I started when I was young, so it's almost like it was imprinted into my head at this point. Because looking back, I don't remember a lot of it, but I do remember doing it all the time. You know, so that just means to me that I really, you know, I was a step ahead. You know, in my opinion, I was a step ahead of a lot of people. You know, because I knew I wanted to do this for so long. But yeah, like I said, so it's like it's studying, you know, and that's the work a lot of people don't see, you know, is finding out your style. That is one of the hardest things, you know, and I'm still struggling with that, you know, finding your style, what you like and what other people like at the same time. Because, you know, sometimes what you like, not everybody likes, and that's okay. And I try to just do what I like, you know, to fulfill me, but it is a business. It is that. So you do got to make, sometimes you can make some sad songs. You got to make some songs that other people like to jam to and have a good time, though. You know? You can't definitely just put out sad music all the time and expect, you know, good things to happen. You know, sometimes you have to put it out in the universe that, you know, you want this and this and that, and it's, you know, it'll come to you. And it's weird, you know. If you want to talk about that a little bit, kind of just like that, where that feeling kind of manifests.
Sadness in general, like in you talk about it.
Yeah. So like that feeling where it starts. So, when you first began, with all these ideas that you had and like what you wanted to do, where did you exactly want to go? Where did you exactly want to go? And there's a lot of routes you go on this, where you're going. There's a lot of side routes you take. And what are some side routes, you know, that you took that really, you know, that may have at the time looked like kind of wasted time, or
to the outside?
Perceived
as wasted time?
Yeah.
I would say in general, the first podcast, the first episodes, where you don't have a lot of viewers, rather than me trying to get like big names and talk to people that I'm not genuinely like interested in, you know what I mean? I could get really popular people who do research on Mars, but I don't really know them. You know what I mean? It's not like very special to me. I like the information. So rather than going for like big names and big headlines, I took the side route more of, you know, I want to be in conversations that I'm genuinely interested in. people that like I know that I have that I, you know what I mean? And that's not, it's kind of a side route, but I believe in it, you know. And my end goal, very generally, is just developing conversation with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Developing, you know, articulating thoughts into words, presenting things, you know, very logical trains of thought. You know, I just love productive conversation. It's one of my favorite things in the world.
I think people need this is very important because I think people need to talk more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people
Definitely.
nowadays, a lot of people, you know, have this one, you know, perspective and just stay, you know, that's their, you know, they're narrow-minded. That happens sometimes. And, you know, I've been there before where, let's say I only listen to hip hop music. Let's say I used to do that all the time. You know, the only kind of music I'd listen to was hip hop. And you got to find those external influences in other places, you know, for your music. Like, man, I listen to anything now. It's like what I tell people all the time, good music is good music. Whatever makes you feel good, you know, you shouldn't worry. Like, let's say you like jazz, you know, that makes you feel good. You know, you like to have jazz with a little drink sometimes. And you like to, it's amazing, especially once you start seeing other people get into other music. You know, you tell them like, listen to this, it's really different. But then they're like, whoa, I really like this. You know, I've shown people Pink Floyd before and stuff like stuff like that, where people, it's almost like this generation kind of forgets about those kind of things. And you know, you listen to that and you're like way ahead of their time. You know, and yeah, it's just. Good music is good music. And like you were saying, those side routes, you know, those pay off, you know, looking back, you know, because you meet a certain person and then they give you that opportunity and you jump to that opportunity. But to be honest with you, there's a lot of things that we still, you know, have yet to see, you know, how they'll benefit like this, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Just putting it out there, you know, that's what's so good about the internet, you know. You put it out there and anybody can find it. Anybody, you know, and it's beautiful. You just put it out there and, you know, some people hope for the best. Some people put a lot of work into promotion and stuff. Yeah. But either way, you know, like with my music, you'll see like the streams and the statistics and stuff. You know, I have 50 people in Europe listening to me. I don't know anybody in Europe.
Yeah,
you know,
that's cool.
And it's just like, man, you know, what makes them just want to listen to that? You know, a lot of people just, I don't know, just like the things you come across is crazy.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And I think, I mean, the side route thing, you know, we haven't seen the payoff yet, but it's just one of those things, man. I believe that I could go about this project, and I feel like the same for you. You could go about it many different ways. You could take many different routes, more popular, more under the radar, and they'll still just be successful. There's a very high chance of success because of that belief.
Yeah.
And I enjoy working. So it's like, what's my alternative to working on the podcast? Is hanging out watching Netflix. You know, I'm not really missing out on anything. So I'm really like just maximizing productivity and just chasing my passion, man. I have a question for you because you said that you don't do a lot. You haven't done a lot of media or like you know, advertising.
Yep.
Have you ever thought about finding platforms or ways to maybe like communicate or get connected with those people in Europe? Like those 50 people, for example, in Europe, or like, how can you know, have you thought about how you can like communicate with these? Because there's a lot of opportunity these days for, you know, you to create a community, not just people who listen to your music, but like you have your community of people who like comment on your stuff, or that you DM or they DM you and you respond.
It needs to be more personal with every person. That's how you really grow.
And that's your brand kind of though. You're a very insightful, introspective person. So I think that'd be interesting. Have you ever thought about that at all? Or you're still just getting to that maybe?
Yeah. I mean, with this, you know, it's kind of a, you know, advertisement in a way and promotion. But yeah, I have, like, let's say Instagram Live, you know, certain things like that. You know, you'll just have random people from, you know, other countries, you know, that you can talk to, you know, and stuff like that. Instagram Live. Let's see here. You know, when it comes to people in other countries, it's more about them. What I do a lot. Let's say they DM me and they say they like my music. You know, I like to have a conversation with them. I don't like to say, you know, thank you for support. You know, everybody gets that. I want to know what you like about it. I want to know what's your favorite. What's why it's your favorite. Like, I just like to have a little conversation with everybody who, you know, DMs me saying they like my music, you know, and I think that's a part of what I'm trying to do with what you said, is that I try to make every interaction kind of personal, you know, so you don't just remember me as a rapper, but kind of a friend, maybe more of a person who is just working on goodwill. You know, I think that's really important, man, is treating people who just take the time out of their day. You know, you can't buy time back. So anybody who listens to my music, takes that 3-4 minutes out of their day, you know, that's incredible to me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So like, yeah, like you said, just interacting with those people on a more personal level, you know, and seeing, you know, why they like the music, and then that just fuels so many more ideas and gets you so much more confidence, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and one big thing, man, there's a lot of, social media, it's going to get a little businessy, but social media marketing is one of the biggest, most undervalued assets, especially for our creative field. For example, I can pay $30 for an Instagram video, and I can target where I want that to be displayed on people's feeds.
Correct.
And I can select what kind of age range, what interests. So
I did that a little bit.
Yeah, you can find your audience. I think that, it's difficult to do with low numbers, but it's very, I feel like one of my things is a voice, with this creative industry. There's not a lot of opportunity for people to find me. So I want to throw it out there. I want to put it in the public and let the people who naturally connect or naturally interested that naturally belong to my community to be able to find me. So I've been using that a little bit.
Exactly. And what's great about this is just the people that you interview. There's a wide spectrum of like people you're interviewing, their interests and everything. I think that's what's going to make more people come in. It's just, having those guests, they see what this is about, or see a certain person, they're like, I want to watch that. I want to see. It's just their interests. There's, like I said, like you're doing an interview with me right now, right? And that's about music. You've done with Maggie Malone, and that's on a completely different level. That's what's beautiful to me about this, is just every episode you click on, it's gonna be a little different. It's gonna be something else you learn. And that's what I like. That's what I like about podcasts. It's almost like you learn stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, just hearing people talk, you learn so much when you talk less and listen more. And that's what I do. I try to do a lot more. Is what I'm saying is what I already know. Okay, so I want to hear more of what I don't know.
Dude, there's so many layers to it. I, about a year ago, I started to listen to podcasts like obsessively.
Yeah.
And even if the podcast is not, I'm going to preface it with this. I have a very difficult time listening or doing things that I don't benefit from. Like I don't see value in if I'm not developing a skill. And I used to listen to like a podcast. I was like, well, I don't want to listen to people talk. But then I started realizing there's so many layers. So on the surface, you have just general conversation, man. Listening to how different people navigate conversation makes you a lot better speaker and makes you a lot better conversation, just a communicator. And then below that, you have, there's value in perspective and knowledge inside that.
Exactly.
That's so valuable, man. There's a reason that statistics show that like people who listen to podcasts are 20% more intelligent in the United States. Something, like who knows how accurate that really is, but I think there is some truth to it.
In what ways it's benefiting them.
I think there's truth in it because I've experienced myself, but I think it's valuable, man.
And like, obviously I listen to a lot of podcasts too, and it's almost like that. What a lot of people, I've realized why they listen to podcasts is because that a lot of people don't like that pure silence. They don't like that. And then, some people want that voice talking, constantly and just distracting them from whatever is on their mind, and that's part of why I listen to a lot of podcasts, while I'm doing stuff, is so I can just, think about other things, and and it's great for my music. I hear about all sorts of topics. And like you said, just subconsciously become a better speaker. You do. You find out what kind of flow sounds good to you, or what kind of levels sound good to you. That's exactly. That's why podcasts are so big right now, because it's like it hasn't been like studied a lot of like the the benefits of it to people, but it's almost like you have you're listening, it's like it's your friends,
Yeah,
it's seriously what it's,
definitely.
it sounds kind of weird to say that, but it's
No,
almost
yeah.
like, you listen to a certain person all the time, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
it's like I know you.
Yeah, you start finding connections.
It's more personal when you're just hearing people talk and like seeing who they are, and it's beautiful, man. I really, really like the idea of podcasts. One, because people who don't agree on certain things can find, common ground on certain things. And instead of going on social media and arguing back and forth, you can break it down, during an hour conversation and see why you feel this way, why you do this. And that's so many, and that's, there's a whole, bigger aspect to that, the benefits of it in the world.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much, you're saying all this, like, there's so much parallel or overlap between this and music, man. There's people that could listen to your music and maybe might not haven't met you before, but can find connections in you. Like that moment, like if I have a moment where I listen to a song by an artist and I just feel like empowered. It's like, you are me, man. We're in the same boat. Like I'm a fan now.
Yeah.
I think that's the exact same thing, kind of.
Exactly.
And that's one of my big things, especially starting this project. The thing I like about these interviews, these more genuine, like we have a history together. It's very real, man, and I feel like it portrays what this podcast is, what this platform is. It's very genuine compared to someone, or like you creating a song that's not true to your heart. It's like me not really going into an interview that I'm genuinely interested in. And people may not feel it, but they'll perceive the podcast as not me, not how I want it to be.
Yeah, because you just won't be as, interested or like, obviously you're skilled enough to talk in a way where you could find out, if this is really what you want.
Yeah, definitely.
So like, I understand that. When it comes down to it, there's a certain amount of connection you feel with somebody when you really are passionate about what they're passionate about. Or, you just feel it. The eyes never lie. That's something I say a lot. It's like you can hear all these things people say, but like really, really sitting down and talking to them, then you really start to figure out. Are they really interested in what I'm doing?
Yeah,
or do they
for
just
sure.
Want me to, do this or do that? And I think that's it's so hard finding genuine people. I mean, in a way, it's a lot of people say that. A lot of people say that there's a lack of genuine people. Or lack of novelty. Sorry, that's what the biggest thing for me is, a lack of novelty in the world nowadays. Is just and I mean, maybe what can I say? I haven't been to all the countries and everything. This is just me speaking on what
I think you're 100% right.
Saying? Just like a lack of wanting to be unique. Finding something different. Everybody,
dude, man, you're 100% right, man. And I've met so many people, and the thing is, so many people are afraid to take that leap, man. So many people are scared to step out of the box. They don't want to step on anybody's toes. They want to please everybody. They want their likes on social media. It is scary, and I don't blame them either. But it's very restricting, and a lot of people don't realize how freeing it can be outside of that space. I think there is, there's just not a lot of, I don't know what it is, man. This mindset that we are, like dancing with, or we're pretty much just in the same cloud, is not very popular. And it's very difficult to find people in this space. And I think you're 100% right on that. My question for you is, are there a lot of people that are trying to, let me rephrase this. I have experienced in my space that there's a lot of people, even in my friend circle, maybe not even my friend circle, but out in my social arena, that may be somewhat positive about my project, or may not really draw too much attention to it, but I feel that they want it to fail, so they feel better about them not doing anything in their lives.
Wow.
Do you ever experience that with people?
Unfortunately, yes, I have experienced that, and it's more or less just them wanting to have someone on the bottom with them.
Exactly, man.
I've had family like that. I've had friends like that, and as soon as you start, because it's so easy to hate on the dude that's that's just trying to come up. You know, it's so easy to hate on a dude with a dream. You know, and it's so easy to just be like, oh, he's not going anywhere. You know, it's so easy to say those certain things, but what's really hard is to keep going. You know, despite all those things you hear. But like you said, yeah, I do have those people that just it just feels like they don't. In person, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so happy for you that you're working on something," and then really you don't hear much else about it. You know, you just hear about the people that really care about what you're doing and support you. I mean, this isn't all people. You know, some people are busy; they can't have time for all that. But most people like will go out of their way. You know, like our friends. You know, like our mutual friends anyway, that will you know go out of their way to show people, you know, be like, my friend's doing this, my friend, you know, and it's not benefiting them in any way, you know? It's just them, you know, and sometimes it's a nice conversation to have, and that's what I found. Definitely. It's a good conversation starter sometimes, like I'm doing this or that, and but like you said, it's difficult sometimes seeing those people go, you know, because from my perspective, it's like, well, I already know that you're not really doing much, and it's almost, sorry, let me say this.
No, you're good.
From what I've experienced, these people that are trying to bring you down, and the more opportunities you try to give them, you know, and they don't take, you know, that's so frustrating. I've so many friends I've had that I'm trying to, you know, inspire in a way, not necessarily like musically, you know, but more or less just like seeing what their passions are, you know, seeing what they're doing with their life and opening their eyes, because that's so many people need their eyes opened, man, because there's a reason why these 40-year-olds say life happens in a blink of an eye, you know. The reason is because they just were not focused every single day on what they wanted, you know. You just lose, you know, and then you look back, you're like, man, I should have went down that one, you know. And that's what I'm not trying to. With these people that are stuck there hating on me, I'm trying to help them, you know. Because with all my friends, let's say I, you know, this really takes off, and I need, you know, a lot of people with me. The people I want with me are the people I can trust. I want to employ them, you know, or give them an opportunity that I find, you know. That's what I think. What I think is what I should do, you know, if I, you know, at least try to give them. I won't, I'm not gonna, you know, make them drink the water, you know, hearsay, but that's exactly, for me, it's just trying to figure out what I can do to help them so they don't feel that way anymore. With random people though, it's a whole different story.
I relate to that, man. I like your idea. I like the, you know, who was it? Maybe some big speaker said, you know, when you get to the top, pull someone up with you.
Yeah.
One thing though, over the course of my, you know, 4 years, you're talking about this eye of being, you know, they need to open their eyes. They need to color their perception. One thing I found, because I started out very optimistic, and I've adopted somewhat of a more nihilistic role. Not, you know, I'm not like I don't want to help anybody, but one thing I figured out through a lot of wasted effort is that you can't open up someone's eyes. You can't color someone's perception if they don't want it to happen to themselves. It's that same idea. People hold on to their beliefs. It's so what the world is today, but you can't open up eyes if they don't want to be opened up. So that's what I found out. I don't nearly go around as much, go out of my way to try to change someone. It's more I let them come to me, and I can tell if they're asking questions that are very deep. And this is where I know that you are, my investment of time and effort and, you know, topics, communication to you is going to benefit you, because you are you can tell when they look at you, right? Like when you're in that conversation, it's like they want to know.
It's that hunger.
Yeah, they want
finally got that hunger.
They like, because I think about, you know, I'm very introspective. You're same as you, so we learn a lot about ourselves and emotion. We also have our passions, so there's a lot of information. Just like I am a lot more careful these days of where I allocate my information, advice, and, you know, discussion, because I want it to be 100% consumed. I want it to be valued, because I don't have all the time in the world. And I've done it enough to realize that a lot of it, to specific individuals, is wasted time.
Yeah, and to expand upon that a little bit, you're exactly right. Sometimes it's not worth going through all that until they're ready, or if it's family or a very very close friend. Sometimes you just have to, for being a good person.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
sometimes just have to wait, and just wait for them to get that idea, or get their brain start jogging a little bit. But yeah, sometimes you have to be. There's a balance between selfless and selfish. And a lot of people view, let's say you've worked your entire life upon something and then you get it. And then someone's like, well, you made it. Why help me make it? Well, I've spent years upon years upon years working on this. And I just don't feel it's right just to give you, all you want right away. Like that doesn't, to me, that just what makes people greedy people. It makes them ungrateful, is just not going through that struggle to get it, and that's what I've tried to keep in mind this entire time, is like, if I just made it right away, I could rap about all the money I got and everything. Yeah, exactly. But you gotta go through this stuff, man. And to be honest with you, it's humbling, half the experiences you go through, and that's what makes you a genuine human being in the end. And that makes people like you more, is that they can relate to you, more. I mean, nowadays, it's very hard to find people that, you can read,
Yeah, I get you.
And that's,
people are a little more defensive.
Yeah. Seriously though, like the more, this is funny. We're going on a little side trail here, but I've always kind of wanted to interview people. I've always been that type to ask a lot of questions. A lot of people don't like that when you ask a lot of questions, but it's more or less me just like, finding what you're saying and relating to it, and then telling you that, hey, you shouldn't be insecure about this, or you shouldn't hide this from me, because I feel the same way that you feel. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you got to open up people a little bit. slowly. And that's what you have to do a lot of times. Is get people comfortable. And then be like, okay, now I can start peeling away the layers of who you are. And a lot of people are defensive, which, maybe they went through things in their life to make them be that way, and that's okay. But I mean, for me, I've always been so open. I mean, I haven't always been that way, but these past few years, trying to be way more open with myself and way more admitting my mistakes in my past, and just, obviously not making them again, and more or less just making myself a better person in the process. So, but yeah.
Okay. So you're developing. Where are you at now, man? So where are your what projects do you have out? What are you working on next? What's coming up?
So I just released well, technically it's a mixtape if you want to go down to definitions, albums and mixtapes, but just released a mixtape. It's called We're All We've Got, and that's my first project that I put out, first studio recorded project that I've put out. So it's, all professional, recorded, and it's so good just to look at that, just go on Apple and just.
And that's
Apple
on
Music,
Spotify and iTunes?
Yep, Apple, Spotify, pretty much everything. I don't think, maybe not on, it might be on Tidal, I'm not sure. But it's on, you can, have anything. Nice. Yeah, that's what's so nice, is just putting it out there and just it being on everything.
That's amazing.
So I got that out. I'm always writing, so I'm always working on another project. This next project, I'm so excited for. It's completely different. I've changed a lot, in these past couple of years of what type of music I like. So it's going to be completely different. I hope people like it. But yeah, that's all recorded. Do you want to know why it's called that, or?
Yeah, go into it a little bit. We're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah. I'll give it a little bit. So We're All We've Got. So that, if you look at the album art, it shows me in the middle, and then a lot of my friends and family, behind me, and those people are X'd out. No, and I don't mean that to be rude, saying like they're not in my life anymore or this or that. But what I'm suggesting by that is, at the end of the day, you are all you've got. You can have people support you, and everything, but you are the person that's going to wake yourself, get out of bed in the morning,
exactly.
And get things done. You're the only one that's going to, go through life and just, everybody has their own experience, man. And you can't just be so dependent on people. So I've tried to, with this album, it's more independent, you know. It's more about me, you know. And maybe that's selfish, maybe it's not, but it's more or less me saying, you're the only person, you're in control of your destiny, and nobody else is going to help you.
Definitely. And I mean, you need that self-preservation. You need that selfishness at a time in our lives right now. So later in life that we can give back and we can be selfless. So I like that, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that project's out on everything. We're all we've got. CB, that's what I go by. So yeah, it's just my initials.
Heck
CB,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, and what's your social media? You got Twitter, Instagram?
Yep, so Instagram is thiscb, at thiscb. My YouTube is LostCB, and Facebook, just look me up, CB.
Cool. Yeah, and we'll link the I'll link the Spotify and iTunes in the YouTube video, and then I'll try to link it. I don't know if I can do it on the podcast or online on Spotify and iTunes. But yeah, those will be in the YouTube video, and I'll make sure to post about that when it goes up on Instagram. Thank you so much for coming, man.
Thank you, man. It's so great talking to you.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Dude,
I love talking.
Anytime. Let me know when your next project goes live, and you can come and we can talk about that a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Anytime we can talk. There's so much more to talk about. Guys, go check out this guy on Spotify, iTunes, CB, new music coming. Sorry it took so long for us to get in here, man. This is dope. Anytime, like I said. Peace out, guys.
See ya.
Nice, dude.